Jussie Smollett, Nye McGee here with EURweb.com. Thank you for giving me
Miss
your time today.
McGee, so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you too, sir, again, because we've spoken before for Empire many moons ago.
Oh, okay,
So,
nice, been nice to see you again, man.
yes, full 360 moment we're having right now.
There you go.
Um, you have directed this very exciting project. I'm just looking at my notes over here. You're directing and starring in The Lost Holiday, which I know screened at the American Black Film Festival. And I know that this project, we've reported, my outlet has covered and reported on this film since it was announced. So I know that this is a passion project and near and dear to your heart. Tell us, what inspired you to take on the role of director for The Lost Holiday, and what vision did you hope to bring to this project?
Oh my goodness. Um, it's a story that actually is really dear to my heart, and I was actually over at a friend's house Christmas party, and it came to me, and I was talking to a friend about it, and this was like 9 years ago. This has been like 9 years in the making, and then I was developing it with a really powerful producer, and then 2019 happened, and everything just kind of, as many things did, just kind of swiped away, and but I never stopped wanting to make the film. And when time came, I brought on Jarrell Chesney to help me co-write the screenplay, and Vivica Fox was always on board, and she always was like she always. I remember calling her and saying, "I want to make this film, but I cannot make it without you." And she said, "Absolutely, I'm in. Don't even worry about it. I got you." And she never, ever, ever changed from that. So she's a real one. She's a real one. So here we are. We shot it a year ago. Here we are a year later, and it's going well. So far, so good. We're getting some legs, so it's going well.
Miss Vivica, she is a cultural icon. So
Yes.
why was she the first actress to why was it a no brainer when it came to her performing the role of Cassandra?
Because to me, Vivica carries this Vivica carries this thing about her that is such strength, yet such vulnerability. And it's something that the character of Cassandra needed so desperately to not be a caricature of what this character could be, And she just found the realness and found the heart and the humanity in the character. And besides the fact, Vivica honestly is one of the most iconic actors of our generation. You think about the roles that she's done, from Why Do Fools Fall in Love, Set It Off, Kill Bill, Independence Day, Two Can Play That Game. Like, the list goes on and on. All I wanted to do is I genuinely wanted to create a film that could go in the repertoire of Vivica A. Fox films, the greatness of Vivica A. Fox films. And I feel like she just kills this role so deeply that I absolutely think that it goes right next to those other iconic performances that she's done.
Of course, you play Jason Holiday in this movie. So what can you share with us about what it was like to explore the headspace of this character? I mean, is this character, is his journey in any way based on personal experiences? Anybody you know personally?
Jason, in many ways, is based on my mother, and for many reasons. But aside from the fact he's a little bit, in the beginning at least, he's a little bit of a stick in the mud. My mama is life, is party, is joy, is all of those things. So they're not alike in characteristics, but I just mean about experience. Her joining a family that was not black, and the things that she dealt with, uh, being having that experience as a black woman, um, are really powerful stories. And it's not entirely my story to tell, but it is a part of my story, and it is a part of my legacy. So I was certainly inspired by the things that she had to deal with, and the things, just seeing how she had to deal with it, with maybe it had to do with race, or religion, whereas this might have to deal with sexuality, but love or dismissal or anything like that is it's something to be dealt with. So I was certainly inspired by my mother, and then also stories that you have to understand that I I grew up as such an as truly as in an activist family, and then we grew up really. I've read so many stories and have so many people that I've met in the past who have gay relationships and were cut out, and when their partner passes away, when their partner is no longer with us, and seeing all of those elements and being able to make it like a very human, family oriented story was no easy feat, but it also was a very, very satisfying thing to do and almost cathartic in a way. And my mother is an executive producer on this film, so it means a lot.
How much of your own persona did you pull from to embed into Jason Holiday?
What's interesting? I really wanted to make him not like me at all. I really wanted to create something that I was also on a TV show for 5 seasons. And when you're on a TV show, you just naturally start to embed you start to like just give pieces of yourself, pieces of who you really are. And with this, I certainly wanted to give my heart and my all to it, but I also wanted to make a character that was not, that maybe was a little bit, harder to love, a little bit, maybe he didn't always say the right things. He doesn't always, maybe he wears his heart on his sleeve. Now, will say that the two things that we carry alike is that I wear my heart on my sleeve. I cannot help it. I try. I done tried. Nah, I tried. I done tried to be normal and just, just be like, nah, that don't bother me. But I can't, and I think that he is like that. He shares that personality trait, character trait with me. But I also think that he's in a really, when we first meet Jason, he's in a really uncomfortable situation in his own relationship, that they're not necessarily in the perfect space. And then here is his partner, his husband is then taken away before they can actually get it completely right. So he's dealing with his own journey, his own guilt, his own pain, while also having to take up the slack and really deal with everybody else's emotions about the situation that he's dealing with directly. So, but aside from that, I really wanted to make him be not so clear cut, the innocent, sweet guy, that he has layers of him that are hurtful and obnoxious, but also understanding that he's a full character of, he's figuring it out, he's doing the best that he can do from a day to day as well, and also really wanted to dive into the different levels of grief and the different stages of grief that we all deal with in a completely different way. When my father passed away, I dealt with it in a completely different way than maybe one of my siblings did. We were all going through the same types of pain, but in completely different ways. So really kind of seeing the way that death, that grief, that pain affects people in their own way, and no way is wrong. And really coming to terms with that, it really was the main focus of this film.
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote that I read or heard a while ago, and it goes, and it has stayed with me, and that is, you never get over grief, you just learn how to manage it, right?
Listen,
You just
listen,
learn how to manage
that is
grief.
it, because you will never be the same. And the sooner that you can realize that you can accept that and start operating in your new normal, the better off you will be. Because the more that I found myself constantly being like, am I ever going to feel the same again? Like, am I ever going to feel like me? Like the simplicity of, even no matter what you're going through, like there's something when you lose a person close to you. Particularly, I can speak from losing family, losing my father, losing, recently losing Broadbent, who is like my sister. We know about pain, we know about grief. Losing a piece of you is never easy, but expecting somehow that you're going to feel that the way that you felt before they were gone is the only way to feel whole is not realistic. It's just not.
That's right. Amen to that. The themes that are captured in this film, the Lost Holiday
Everybody
highlights.
wants this to be a sequel to the Queen Latifah movie.
Why I keep saying last, and I'm looking at Lost. Like, make it make.
It's
I
because
can't. I
that was
don't
a
know what's
but
going
no,
on.
but that was a bomb movie, Nye. That's all right. That was a great movie, classic. Queen Latifah. I'm like, what? Like, we good.
Right. So the Lost
Oh no, that was LL Cool
Holiday,
J and Queen Latifah. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
the Lost Holiday highlights LGBTQ plus representation and the struggles and triumphs of same gender loving couples, specifically the relationship with you and your husband in this film. Why was it important for you to address these themes in a feature film?
You know what's interesting is that I'm getting that question a lot. What's interesting about it is that I really am just trying to create art around the world that I know. You know what I mean? Like it's like what made me want to create a character that was a layered or multiple characters that are layered black women. Well, because I know like that's my world is like fully realized layered black women, so telling these stories has never been even a thought because it's what I know, and especially getting more into writing. And for me it's easiest at this point to, not that it's easy, that anything is easy, but it's easier at this point to write the worlds that I know, and then changing things based on the characters and making sure that, but more than anything, honestly, it's the world that I want to see. It's the world that, I remember there's a line in there where Duck, Deshaun, the character played by Marquise Vilson, who's a brilliant trans man actor. There was a line in there that I put that he goes to Africa. Jarrell had it where he went to Africa, and I had it where specifically he was in Ghana. So he says on the phone with my character, he calls me from Africa, and he says, Ghana is transformative, and I don't think I'll ever be the same. And then he says Black trans lives matter, just in passing. It's just like banter back and forth. Well, after we wrapped the film, there was some anti-LGBTQ legislation that happened in Ghana. And there were people that were like, do we need to take that out? Do we need to rephrase that? And I'm just like, no, because at the end of the day, I want for my siblings to be able to go to experience the motherland just like anyone else. You know what I mean? Marquise Vilson should be able to go to Ghana and experience it the same way anyone else does. I should be able to go, and I want that for us. So although that might not be necessarily his reality right now, I hope that one day it is. And I hope that that one day comes soon. So I do believe that art can change things by shining a light on things that you may not have known existed, or people that may seem like they're so different from you. And then you see people living their lives and going through the very things that we go through, experiencing love, experiencing loss, and experiencing joy and pain and family, and the happiness of family, the pain and trauma of family, whatever it may be, and seeing that we are so much more alike than we are different. And the entire motivation of the ignorance and the vitriol in this world is to make us think, is to fool us into believing that we're so different from each other that we turn on each other. And that's exactly what has happened. And we can switch that around if we just realize that we're the ones with the banana and tailpipe, like we're being taken advantage of, and we need to just wake up. So that's me on my soapbox. That's what it's, for me, that's what it's all about. I'm not specifically trying to I'm not necessarily trying to show anything except love. And whatever that looks like to you, you don't have to love the exact same way that I love, but I guarantee you that if we sat down and we were just kicking it and we were talking about our experiences with love, with family love, with partner love, with homie love, with whatever, employer, employee love, whatever it may be, we're going to find some connection with each other.
And I was going to follow up and ask you what message do you hope audiences take away from the Lost Holiday, especially as it relates to acceptance and understanding of diverse family cultures? But it sounds like you just answered that. Love, no
Because
matter how diverse our families are. it comes back to it comes back to love.
It comes back to love. And what I'm telling you is that love changes everything. True love changes everything. And every single thing in this world, the root of it is love, either love or lack of love, but it's all love. It's
That's
all
right.
love. Love of power, love of money, love of oil, love of whatever that is. There can be, but it all goes back to love. We just got to remember what love is really all about so we can stop loving the wrong things.
Speaking of love, I mean, your character has a love for his adopted daughter, obviously, in the film, this bond with his daughter. So, what can you tell us about the experience of working with the young actress who plays your adopted daughter in this film and how she contributes to the overall narrative?
London Carter is her name, and she is a little baby force. And she actually is my real life niece's best friend. And my real life niece uh, is really who the character was based on, just personality wise, the precocious little kid, And then I asked my niece, I asked her mom, my sister, if I could ask, and she's like, you got to ask her, but she does not want to do that. But go ahead and ask her. She's very creative. But I went into her room and I asked her, I said, would you want to, act? And she said, no, no, Uncle Jussie, no. And she said, but she wants to direct. So if you look at the credits, she's director in training because she was on set with me and she, looked at some scenes, directed scenes, and really was a part of the casting of London because she said, you should ask London. And I said, does she really act? And then I looked, I asked my sister and she's like, yeah, she's done Snowfall. John Singleton was rest in peace, was one of my main directing mentors, early on. And so she was on Snowfall. She had done a lot of parts here and there. And then she auditioned, and my mom, who's an executive producer on the film, came in and saw her performance. Like, she's got to be it. And she was just wonderful. And her mom, and keep in mind, these are our family friends that we've known for like a decade. And I've known her mom even before that. But yeah, she's just really special. And she's, to be able to tell this character, she understood somehow. I have a really good friend who was adopted, and she watched the film and she said she understands about the levels that a kid who has been through what she's been through would feel. And it's just these subtle things that she notices. And I don't even know if London really understood and really, really knew that she was specifically doing this, but it's so special because it's these moments where she's almost trying to make sure that she's not shaking the table. She's trying to make sure that she doesn't make too much of a stink because she's not all the way comfortable in her surroundings just yet, and seeing that and speaking to different folks that have been through the foster care system, different folks who were later adopted, maybe later adopted in later years, that this is not a baby who has been adopted from a newborn. This is somebody that has been adopted from already being, 8 years old, So for that, there are certain things that she's seen, certain things that she has been through that only necessarily certain people would understand. So I feel like she really tapped into that. She's just a great actor. I could talk about London forever. I love her. I feel like she's such a sweetheart. And I love kid actors who you can tell they're genuinely kids, that their parents are respectful and loving of their experience and their childhood. And I just love her and I love her parents. We're coming to theaters in the fall. So we're very excited about that, but we have a couple of announcements coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, I think that once this drops, it'll probably have already been announced that we're going into theaters, but it'll be in theaters and hopefully everybody checks it out and loves on it. And, this is a new road for me. This is something that I've always wanted to make film and always wanted to. And when I say make film, I've always wanted to direct film. I've grown up loving, the rom-coms and the family dramedies, and the Still Magnolias and the Waiting to Exhale. Just like everybody else, I grew up loving those films. I also grew up loving films like New Jack City, and like these are the types of projects that I want to make. But we're also doing this truly independently, and I'm really, really proud of the work that we're all doing. And I couldn't have done this. Like, it has to be noted, the fact that these two incredible women, Mona Scott Young and Tressa Smallwood, came on to this project and really have poured into me and my company, and Tom Wilson, and Tom Wilson. I almost said my business partner's name wrong. Tom Wilson is my business partner, and we work our butts off. But we would not have been able to get this done had Mona and Tressa not joined us on this journey, and Vivica, and all of this. I am held up, not because I'm on the phone with a Black woman. Like, I'm held up solely by Black women. I always have been, and I pray that I always will be. But it's true that I couldn't have done any of this if it wasn't for Mona, Tressa, Vivica, my mom, people that really held me up and continue to. So yeah, the film is
That
special,
Black
and I
girl
hope that
magic.
everybody. It's listen, and I don't even know if it's just magic. Like, it's just like Black girl bless. Like, it's. I don't know a time I wouldn't still be here if it were not for Black women. And I don't say that in a patronizing sort of way, and I want to make sure that's clear. I don't say that in any sort of way of like a hashtag or something like that. I really genuinely mean that there has never been a time in my darkest hours that there's not been a Black woman specifically to pick me up. So I hope that in that the work that I've done, both personally and professionally, that I will always somehow be able to say thank you for that I have received from Black women. So that's the reason why I always will tell stories that hopefully make y'all proud.
Right on.
That's it.
Are you creating any new music for the
Yeah.
soundtrack for the film?
Yeah, there's music in there. Actually am dropping a single in the next couple of weeks. Scared as hell, but I'm gonna drop it. And it's music is always. I actually just did an interview, and music is always the driving force behind every single thing that I do. And also, being a musician really helps with the budget, because we ain't got money to be licensing a whole lot of songs. So we make the music.
Right on. Jussie, that's my time. Thank you for giving me your time today. It's been a blast
Thank you for
speaking with you,
taking it.
sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you for
Absolutely.
being so kind. I appreciate it.